You took a train from Laredo to where?
Nuevo Laredo, the other side of the
border.
Rio Grande. You know, there's a difference between night and day. On the American side, there's an American city. On the other side, unpaved streets, dust all over, dirty. I mean, you know, it's 100% different.
Yeah.
Amazing. Just on the other side of the river. You know, a different country, different frontier. Then Mexico. Mexico had only one good modern streamlined train, and that was this one. It was a Swiss-made train, and it had a regular schedule, a printed schedule that they followed, you know. And it left from Nuevo Laredo on the American border and went down to Mexico City with stops at all the major cities en route.
How far is Mexico City? Down south of
I don't know. It was 3-4 days of train riding.
Oh,
you know,
that far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So purposely, I mean, I didn't have to go to all that, you know. But so I had this. You know, so I went the first day. It took me down to Monterrey, which is a big city, and I stayed there for a day, you know, and scouted it out and everything. And then I had the schedule, and I picked it up the next day when it came through there, you know, and went down to Saltillo, I think it was, another city, and then it wasn't very far, a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, and then I spent the day there, you know.
Had you ever been to Mexico before?
No, that was the first time, 53.
So you were how old? Let's see, 53, you were?
29. And then I picked it up the next day and went down to San Luis Potosí. You know, they're all on this main line with this good Swiss-made train, modern train, you know, streamliner we used to call them. And then after that I went down, the next one was down at Querétaro. And they had these sleeping, reclining seats, you know, and that was what I had. You bought a ticket and, you know, it was in the coach, but it was and then you could push the thing back and, you know, you slept. You know, I had a ticket.
And was there like first, second, and third class?
No, no, this was just the one, as far as I knew, it was one class. It was a nice, you know, it was a nice train. But I remember I was sitting next to a Mexican Army officer. He wasn't in uniform. We got talking. He had trained at Fort Leavenworth or someplace with the American Army. You know, he was very familiar, and we were talking about one thing and another. But and then after Querétaro, that's about the fourth stop already. Then the next one was down in Mexico City. You know, and then I stayed there for a few days and explored the city and everything.
Did you speak any Spanish?
Yeah,
a little bit.
Rudimentary. I mean, I had a couple of years in college, which didn't amount to very much, you know. But I had some, you know. I could get along all right. But then they got good bus service. The train service is terrible. I remember now. I was in this hotel. No. Let me see. No, I went from Mexico City east. You know where Veracruz is on the coast?
No.
Due east to Mexico City, but all the way over on the coast. So I took that route. From Mexico City, the first stop was the town of Puebla, which is a couple of hours by bus east.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a nice city. They got a big fancy church. It's all gold. Everything was gold. I remember. You know, it was so full of gold. But I stayed there for a day, and then I got on the bus, and then it was going to go the next. I can't remember how it worked out. Oh, I wanted to go down to Oaxaca. Have you been to Mexico?
Yes, one time, 3 years ago.
You know where Oaxaca is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, I was headed from Pueblo. It's south, a little bit east, but basically south to Oaxaca, probably 300 miles, 400 miles, I don't know. So I got on a real crummy train. What was I supposed to get on the train? I was supposed to leave, I don't know, late afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon or something. I checked out of my hotel. I went to the station. It was just an ordinary train, you know, and it was late, so they were delayed for an hour. So I hung around there, and then I think the next thing, it's delayed again for, you know. Finally, after 3 or 4 of these delays, it was 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. I was still there, and they finally said, "Well, it's not going to come. It's too late. It's not going to come today." That's all. So I went back to the hotel.
Mañana.
Huh?
Mañana.
Yeah, I went back to the hotel and reclaimed my room. I had paid for it. I left, at 5 in the afternoon, and I thought they could let me back in again in the same room. So I got a nice sleep. And then I went back to the station the next day to catch a train in the morning or something to go down to Oaxaca. And I got it. It was 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that. It was another old crummy train, I mean, there was nothing like a dining car on it. And it would 20 miles an hour through the country, and they would stop at these little towns, and all these Indian women would come up with their homemade tacos and stuff and sell them through the window, and the people were buying them to eat. There was nothing to eat, and I didn't figure there'd be something on the train. There was somebody who would have a push cart. Nothing,
Did you buy something from
No, I wouldn't eat that stuff. That's murder,
Yeah.
I mean, you're asking for trouble. So
you starved.
well, it wasn't that, but it was so slow and so monotonous and so nothing, And there was a little Mexican man. I guess he spoke good English because we conversed. Maybe he was sitting next to me or something. And he said, listen, he says, this train is no good. He says, why don't you get off here? I live in Tehuacan, which is maybe halfway between Pueblo and Oaxaca. That's where the bottled water is Tehuacan water.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of a resort type of a...
Take the waters.
Yeah. So he says, it's a nice town. He says, get off the train when I get off there. Forget about, get off of this thing.
Yeah.
And stop over in Tehuacan. You'll enjoy yourself. He says, forget about, this is... So I took his advice, and the train station was a good mile out from the town. It was just out in the sticks at the end of the... So I had a big, heavy thing, and he insisted he was carrying my bag part of the way. I had a fight with him not to, So we walked into the town, and it was a nice
How
town.
old of a man was he?
I don't know, 50, 55, something like that.
Yeah.
He was a jovial little man that spoke good English. And it was good advice, so I spent a couple days there, and it was very nice. I remember the young man that ran this little hotel where I stayed. We were talking about Spain because I had been there, and he knew, all that. He thought the Spanish women were the most beautiful in the world, and all the rest of it. I still remember all that stuff. And so I never got to Oaxaca on that trip. Then I took the bus back up this way, up to Cordova, which is on the same line that I had, that would have gone to Veracruz from Puebla. Cordova, and there's another town close by, a half hour away. Two pretty good-sized towns there. I stayed at Cordova, and outside of there, just a short bus ride, 10 minutes or 10 miles, there was a place called Fortin, Fortin, Fortin de las Flores. 14 of the flowers. I don't know what 14, but they had a known resort there, and the resort had a big open-air swimming pool. It was the off-season. I was there in November. Nobody was there, and it was just because of the business. I was, November, we didn't have anything particular to do. I could take off. So I went over there just to see it. It was a big, beautiful outdoor pool, and filled with water. There's nobody in there, and they've got these flowers floating. These
in the pool
on the top of the pool. Yeah, very beautiful. I mean,
it's decorative.
Decorative, yeah. Maybe they don't do that if people want to swim there, but it was. And I remember, when I went in there, it was you had to be a guest. There was no guest in there. There was an old lady there with a little kid, like about a 4-year-old kid. And I asked her, I heard about this. Could I just take a look at the pool? And she said she gave me some kind of a ticket. I remember I gave it to the little kid. He took the ticket from me. And I went in there, and it was, it was worth stopping over to see that. And then I went back to Cordova, and then I took the bus the following day over to Veracruz, which is on the coast. What is it? The Caribbean, I guess. It's a terrible hot place in summer, but in November it was nice. The only thing was, from Cordova, where I had been, you were in an elevation of 4,000 or 5,000 feet, and Veracruz is at sea level. And so this bus ride of 2-3 hours, whatever it was, maybe 3 hours, was all descending down. And not only that, but the road was we were descending, going down a corkscrew all the way down from 5,000 feet to sea level, and it was really
precarious.
It was precarious. You look over the side, there's no barriers, there's nothing. And I was sitting up in the front opposite the driver here, and I could see he had all these religious medals. I could see why. He had about 5 of them hanging from the windshield here. He needed all of them, I'm telling you. If he made one bad move, we would have been off the, But he was very good. But, I mean, you're going around this thing, going down. Geez,
How many people were on the...
Well, it was a full busload, I guess, pretty much. But then I got into Veracruz, and it was a nice place. It's on the, you got beaches there, and good seafood restaurants and stuff. And where did I go from there? I don't know. I guess I must have flown back to Mexico City.
So how long were you gone in total?
A couple of weeks, I suppose. 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I don't know.
Huh.